I'm Eric Wolf, and my experience in business peer groups has changed my life, especially my membership in Vistage, one of the world's largest CEO advisory groups. I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a Vistage speaker on the power of marketing. This podcast is dedicated to the people who make those experiences possible, the peer group chairs. Every episode, I interview a Vistage chair who has dedicated their time to helping entrepreneurs like me succeed. Welcome to Chairwaves, and we have got two guests today. And this is the first time that we've ever done this. This is going to be the first time we try to launch this rocket this way. We'll see if it goes up. My guests are Amanda Carrothers, who is a newly minted Vistage chair, and Emma Doyle, who is the 2024 top new speaker in Vistage, or one of them. One of them, yeah, there was a crowd, but very very small crowd, and you were at the head of the pack, I'm sure. And for those of no one else can see what I'm seeing, but actually Emma is wearing her blue Vistage blazer that she got when she was speaker. So it's like the gold jacket. She gets the blue blazer. It's pretty awesome. So Amanda has been a longtime professional coach, entrepreneur. She's got a family connection with Vistage. Her group just launched. And Coach M, and by the way, I'm sure that a lot of Americans, look at that and they want to pronounce it Coach M, but which actually you might not mind.
It works.
And Emma comes to us as not only a very well regarded Vistage speaker, but her previous career was as a professional tennis coach in the great nation of Australia, and she's joining us as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun. By the way, Coach M, really quick question, really important. What the hell is Vegemite anyway?
What a great way to kick it off. It's fabulous. They stick it on our dummies when we're younger. You scrape it off the bottom of a keg. It's vitamin B. It's a yeast extract, and it's fabulous. Someone had described it like soy sauce on cereal. But anyway, it's very polarizing. I love it, and I do threaten people if they don't come back from break on time that they have to have Vegemite. So thank you so much for asking.
Excellent. Amanda, I would love to hear your journey from where you were as a coach to now being a chair, having just launched your first group.
The short version of it is that 29 years ago, I decided to be crazy and purchase a business. I was 21 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had big dreams. I knew that I wanted to purchase this company for reasons of helping people see their beauty on the inside, and this training and development company was my way to do that. I also thought I'd get a ton of attention from my father because he was always busy with work. And my father at the same time joined Vistage as a Vistage chair. And so he insisted that I join Vistage because that was his deal and I should join Vistage. I was not in his group. But I joined Vistage for 3 years, and I took it was a 12-year-old company at the time I purchased it. It was called the Boulder Center of Accelerative Learning. And I took it international in 3 years due to the help of my Vistage group. My Vistage group was just confidants without an agenda that kept stretching my dreams and goals. And so I launched my business, opened up a shop in Geneva, Switzerland, and started working with the NGOs out there, World Health Organization, United Nations, International Labor Organization. And so I really owe a lot of my upbringing. If you're raised by the tribe, if you feel like the tribe is the best thing to be raised from, which I do, it was Vistage that got me started. So I have now spent the last about 20 some odd years, 28, 29 years running that business. I expanded into 13 countries. So I was doing business out of 13 countries by the time that I sold that business in 2011, and had major contracts in big and small companies from Gulfstream Aerospace to John Deere to MD Anderson to the big NGOs. So I've done this a long time. And And the whole time, my dad is still a Vistage chair, and he has been vetting me or recruiting me, I should say, every like 6 or 7 years. He's like, when are you going to come into Vistage? When are you going to come into Vistage? I knew I was. I knew I would always do Vistage. I do want to give back for what was given to me so openly, and so I decided it was time. So I am here now, and I am doing Vistage. I love
Your
it.
your dad is sort of a legend in the Colorado Vistage community, and he is much loved and appreciated, and the one of the more shocking moments that I've had on this podcast is when he just like casually slipped in what his business was before he was a Vistage chair, and it had something to do with the reselling of animal innards, and I was just like, oh, all right, let's. That was of all of the things that you could have said, that was probably the least expected. Uh, so Coach, how did you come to be a Vistage speaker? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. And it really is ironic that we are on this podcast together because, as we all know, you have to do 3 pro bono speaking opportunities, and Bob gave me my first 2 opportunities. So again,
Oh, how
just
cool!
another shout out to Bob Carrothers for that opportunity. And the moment prior to that, it would be fair to say that, as in, with this accent, being from Australia, as you mentioned, it is very hard to break into certain communities. And I was really struggling. I was speaking at some pretty large conferences, but not really getting any traction. And it wasn't until, literally by chance in life, I do think you need a little bit of luck, and then the rest is hard work. But that 5% luck came when I rocked up at the zoo at a networking function, one of those Colorado afternoons where it was lightning and thundering and I didn't want to go. And last minute, I pushed myself to go, and I ended up sitting next to a woman who was the general manager of a robotics company, and her CEO was in Vistage. And I'm like, what is Vistage? I need to know about Vistage. And it was by chance that I was like, okay, I think I'm going to give this a go. And then it took me a while before I met someone like Bob to give me that first opportunity. And then the rest is history. And I'm very, very grateful. It's been nothing but rewarding on so many levels for me. So thanks for asking.
And had you ever, as in your career, been part of a peer group or anything like that, or was the Vistage experience sort of new for you?
Well, the Vistage experience is definitely unique. I mean, I think certain communities, I was, as you know, in the tennis community and then the coach
Sure.
developer community. So I was part of other communities, familiar with that, but just even Vistage being a global organization, and literally it was last July that I was in one of Nancy's groups, and she's like, "You do realize Vistage is in Australia?" And I was like, "Ah, no, I had no idea." So I live in Australia from January to the end of April, and when I was home this year, I did 15 workshops while I was back home. So what a awesome opportunity again to have this global network of people and experiences to be able to, to introduce leader as coach into workplaces. So very, very
Yeah.
grateful.
And shout out to Nancy Gears who made you aware that Vistage is in fact in Australia, and her episode is going to be airing, I think, probably a month or so before this one goes up. So let's talk about like getting started with this, because there's unique challenges to getting started as a chair. There's unique challenges to getting your feet under you as a speaker. Amanda, you are fresh out of that process of launching your first group. I hope that the PTSD isn't so fresh that you break down. But what tell me about what it took for you to get started and to get this first group going.
Pure determination. And I really have to thank my father for painting the other side of the rainbow. I have seen, because he's been a Vistage chair, I've seen so many people bring their businesses to Vistage and then sell them years later for multi millions of dollars. And I've just seen the process of what's on the other side, of my hard work is going to lead to watching people achieve and realize their highest potential and dreams and what they're going for, and where they put their blood, sweat, and tears is finally paying off. So I knew from the very go that this wasn't going to be an easy journey to recruit members, just because you're recruiting into a group with a lot of people that have never had any kind of this sort of experience. So I'm grateful for the members that just followed me, as have been people I've worked with in the past that jumped right in because they knew me, and now I'm finding a lot of others. So it's been a great and very tough journey of just continuing to network and lead gen and talk to people and be out there, and the right people show up. I just have to keep holding the container.
That's a really nice way of looking at it. It's a little poetic. So Amanda, you mentioned, sorry, Emma, you mentioned the pro bono talks, and as speakers, you and I were both made to go and find people gracious enough to give us the opportunity to speak not only once but a total of 3 times, as an unproven commodity when speaker slots are scarce. What was your process in getting going as a speaker, and what was how did you get your momentum going?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt, like Amanda just said, it's hard work, it's determination, it's grit. So with my background in sports, I'm very familiar with all of those things, and I think one of the most important things in life is relationships. So being able to find out if somebody is part of Vistage and you have a relationship with that company, if they can then recommend you to the chair, that is a great way to get started. That's how I got started. So I went into that robotics company, showed them what I can do as relation to creating coaching cultures in the workplace. And then from that, then the CEO is more likely to recommend to their chair. So I think that is something, don't underestimate the power of your existing relationships to leverage those to get started. And then I think personally for me, once I was able to get off the ground, that's when the next phase really is so important, which is, for example, asking Bob if he enjoyed the session, and Tanya as well gave me my, Tanya Lara gave me my first opportunity as well, to say, could you put a recommendation on ShareNet? And again, that's something a lot of speakers don't know about, but you all have your own ShareNets at internal platform for chairs, and I think having a referral on that or a recommendation on that when you are first kicking things off with what are the key takeaway messages from your workshop, your unique workshop, hopefully that's not flooded as well. So having a topic that is timely, topical, and something that people and chairs are really, you're helping service a pain point of their members, I think is really important. So there's some of the little things in the early days that I think are critical, just getting off the ground, because as we know, life is all about relationships and nurturing those
Absolutely.
relationships.
I'm gonna pivot a little bit and talk about for in Vistage, the sort of the two big things that people talk about when, like, hey, what's so special about Vistage? It's the chairs are incredible, and we've always got these experts that are coming to our group and teaching us things. So I'd love to hear your guys' perspective on the relationship between the chair and the speaker, and and what works and where the magic comes from. Emma, what's your perspective? What are things that have worked for you really really well when you've gone to a group?
Yep. So definitely preparation. So that initial call, I have a checklist that I just run through more organically. It is just a wonderful conversation, and I just love hearing about how did you get started? Why did you become a chair? So what's their why? I love hearing that part of their story because you can already get a sense of who they are and how they like to run their groups based on why they became a chair in the first place. And in that initial phone call, I love asking about the energy of the group, the vibe of the group, how long have they been together? So we get a sense of that vulnerability piece. And I always ask the chair in one to a maximum of 3 words, what do they think makes a great Vistage speaker? So I know what they're looking for in relation to my messaging and the actual workshop. I think that's really important. I ended up writing an article on it because just last year I had 28 different responses around what makes a great Vistage speaker based on through the chair's lens cap. And so I think there's some of the little things off the top of my head. And one thing that I always invite the chair is to explain to the group, even more important than my bio, why they chose my topic. So if they can make the link, as in I chose leader as coach because I think deep level listening and asking powerful, curious questions is so important in modern leadership. And it's going to make you a better, not only CEO or key executive, it'll make you a better parent, it'll make you a better friend, etc., whatever it is to them. If they've got a personal connection to my topic, it sort of
Right.
sets that opening stage for them to be curious. It's almost empty the glass. I mean, many people have heard of workplace coaching, right? So I always say just empty the glass on what you know and then see it through a fresh lens cap. And I think it really sets up the workshop for curiosity. So I think those things are really important with regards to the start, the opening of the workshop. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Amanda?
I'm just getting my feet wet with this. I feel like I have a little bit of a bias just because my dad, as you mentioned, Erik, is really well known in the Vistage community. He's actually gotten several speakers started over his lifetime, his 30 years of being a chair. And so I've had the pleasure of having chair or speakers sit at my dinner tables when I was growing up. And my dad would share with me tapes from the speaking presentation so that I could learn from it and make my business better. And so I've been, that was a complete
And
gift and blessing, unexpected. And so now that I'm booking speakers, man, it's like a barrage of people that want to speak. That's for sure. And also these relationships I've already had for years and years. And then also what my group really needs and wants. And so I'm in that separation phase of figuring out how to best serve the members in my group versus all the stuff that I know otherwise. So it's not easy. I'll tell you that. It's not easy, although it's been a really fun experience. I've learned way more than I thought I would. Like just full out, speakers are wonderful humans. So it's been a great journey so far.
and you've
And
also
chairs
got the
are too.
perspective of being a member as well for those years while you were first growing your business, and so you've probably had one of the most diverse experiences with this community that I think I'm not sure that I've met anybody that's had so many different experiences with the Vistage community as you have. What do you think that the speaker brings to the meeting, or that you want the speaker to bring to the meeting, that's unique, that's important, that makes the experience so valuable?
In my belief, to be a good speaker, or to be a great speaker, they have to have passion around their subject and be able to capture the audience with that subject through their passion. And so the ones that have been really on the journey, because speaking isn't easy. Getting speaking engagements is like hunting whales. I mean, it's it's not always easy to get speaking engagements. So you have to stay at it. It takes a lot of tenacity to keep speaking and be a successful speaker. And those are the ones that are so heart and passion driven. So by the time they get into my room, I just back off and create the loving space for them to do their magic, because they've had to really hone in on their topic, their skills, their audience management, their chair management, so they're wonderful professionals by the time they come to me. And that's sort of what I appreciate, because it takes the load off of my shoulders, of having to manage the group for the entire day. It splits it up. And then the ones that leave lasting impressions, the most passionate ones, are the ones that the group talks about for days and days and days afterwards. In fact, Erik, I can speak to you, my friend, who spoke to us on Tuesday, and the group walked away
Just
from your presentation.
silent. No chatter.
No, there was no
Nothing.
chatter. There was It was absolutely talkative. They said, "Man, I wasn't looking forward to a marketing presentation because everybody does marketing presentations, but man, this was awesome. I gained so much. I feel like I could actually implement what he said. I wasn't overwhelmed by the end of the meeting. It was really great." And they just talked about it all afternoon. So
That's awesome.
that's the experience I like to have in my groups.
One of the things that we kind of hear time and time again about the magic of peer groups and the magic of Vistage is the idea that we get to come to this safe space and be vulnerable together, and and share the good things, the bad things. Emma mentioned a few minutes ago about how she tries to bake some of that into her preparation. What are other things that both of you guys do to encourage that vulnerability in your roles in Vistage?
Yeah, well, I would just kick it off by saying one of the things I love to do at the beginning of a workshop is engage and relate to where they're at in the room, and then speak. So it's speak less rather than, a traditional keynote, right? So one of the questions that I ask is, who believed in you and what quality did that instill in you? So it's almost getting them subconsciously into the mindset of a coach, but they're reflecting on that coach or that mentor or that pivotal person in their life. And I can't even tell you how many times groups that have been together for 20 years, they're like, I don't know, you played a musical instrument and your music teacher, I never knew that about you. Or
Right.
so even just the little insights where somebody goes, oh, I didn't realize that about you. And I love how that opens up this beautiful safe space straight away. And we as speakers, we're very fortunate to be able to come in and feel that within the room. And and also of course I have the tennis ball flying around the room, and I always know how they treat each other based on how they throw the ball to the next person. Whether
Any
they,
injuries?
yeah, you can get a sense of what kind of group this is going to be. But the take home message there with regards to the vulnerability piece is beautiful open questions that then allow the dialogue to go into certain spaces and certain areas that you never thought. I had my first repeat, shout out to George Glover in Oklahoma recently. And so me being able to even remember that person that was important in their life, bring it back up when I meet them. They're like, "Gee, how did she remember that?" Of course, I didn't remember it. I wrote it down right on my little cheat sheet.
Right.
But again, what's happening there is I'm opening up through curious questions, which is a skill set, as Amanda well and truly knows, the importance of just allowing a space through an beautiful open question. And we had one guy in tears that day because we did the follow-up, which is leader as champion, and he was talking about championing others. So there was that person who believed in him, and then it was his ability to champion somebody else as it related to unpacking his purpose statement, and helping somebody else do that. That just created, there were not only he was watery-eyed, other people, he moved other people in the room
Wow.
through going through this process.
That's
So
amazing.
I think that is so critical. These coaching skills open this up in others, and curiosity is the superpower of a modern leader. Make no mistake about it. So there's some of the ways that we love to do that.
Amanda, a few minutes ago, you used the words loving space to describe the atmosphere in your group, and I can tell you from being there, yeah, that's true. What do you do to make sure that how do you install that vibe into the room?
It's a lot of different pieces that come together. One of them is choosing the right kind of person to be members in my group. I am definitely curating the right people, meaning they have big hearts, they're passionate about what they do, and they have a good sense of helping others and a good calling to that. So that naturally makes them vulnerable and helpful to be in service and conversation in our meeting. I also have done facilitation for a long time outside of Vistage. And the one thing I've learned is that if I don't mirror where I want my participants to go, they're not going to go there. So I have to mirror 160% so that they come 90%. And so it's not often, but occasionally I will share my own issue and I'll bring that to the group. And in fact, I did that after you left this week and shared my own issue. The group, I was like, no, no, it's fine. Let's do your issues. And they're like, no, no, we're doing yours because we've been meeting since February. So this group is pretty close together. And I ended up crying. It was a topic that I didn't expect to bring up so much emotion, and I ended up crying. And they were fantastic. I was like, wow, I feel so held. So the fact that I can sit in that space and demonstrate and use the members like I want the members to use each other and to really lean on each other was a big
Yeah,
demonstration of where safety is and it's okay to be you. It's
that's awesome.
we're all living life here.
I love that. There's a difference. So all of us have been coaches in our careers. All of us have obviously presented to large groups in our careers, but the Vistage atmosphere is different from so the chair is not a coach, and the speaker is not giving a keynote, not lecturing, and there's a difference in both approaches, and I'm curious. You know, Amanda, you mentioned it a moment ago that you'd had a lot of facilitation experience, but is it difficult to or has it been difficult to make that pivot necessary to do what you do outside of Vistage and then translate it into the Vistage room, which is a little bit different?
Yes, it is. The Vistage way that they've taught us to do is to leave a lot of open space for the group to figure out the issues. So in in coaching, when you go get coaching certification or coaching schools, there's a lot of emphasis put on rephrasing, paraphrasing what someone has said, um, asking a deeper question to go deeper into what they just said. So strong questions. In the Vistage model, it's a lot about helping or laying the groundwork for the group to do that with each other. So if I'm noticing something as as a member is saying it, I might actually ask the group to say, "What are you hearing?" or "What's going on here?" or "Take this deeper." And so the group has to participate. That's a new skill for me to do, is to manage the group as a whole as opposed to being the one person that was asking those questions. So it is very different. I'm still working at the craft of it.
And I would add onto that that when I run leader as coach within these workshops, a lot of Vistage members need help with not just giving advice straight away. So that's a skill that I think that they are also exploring and experimenting with, rather than just giving their advice immediately. And that is, again, a key distinction. And I think it's why leader as coach is quite popular right now because this is such a unique skill set and such an important skill set. And it because the transformation happens when the aha moment happens for one of the other members. And if it comes from a place of a reflection question or something that I never thought about it from that angle, from that lens cap, and I think that this is why, and probably leads nicely, Erik, into just giving a shout to my made up word, couture, in relation to I've only created this just for Vistage members because it comes up all the time. And that is coach first and mentor second. Because so many Vistage members are subject matter experts. They run very successful businesses. And so they just want to tell and help and give advice. And if they can learn how to coach first, ask curious, open ended questions first, it's amazing then how much better even their advice even lands, because it's not you need to do it this way. It comes from a place of, as you said, that loving open heart to see what's possible. And I think the couture is, yeah, I'm very, you won't find it in the dictionary, but it's a coach M made up word. I know Vistage has a lot of them, so I'm happy to
Yeah,
throw it in the mix.
there are a lot of terms in the Vistionary that that we can. So really quickly, I've been curating a list of Vistage terms that people have brought to me: carefrontation, closed versus leading questions, the issue behind the issue, the safe space, not the soft space, don't begin solutioning. Is so quick perspective. The inside language of Vistage, is it charming or confusing?
I
And you
think
may
it's
be
really
carefrontational with me.
no. I think it's really educational. It
Yeah.
it gives everybody in the room new skills that they haven't thought about. And Coach M, I completely agree with you about not giving advice right away. And because the reason that we want all the different members from different verticals and industries in the room is because they think differently. They have different thinking ways of solving problems. And so when a member, to your point, says, here's my advice, we miss the actual gift of that person bringing value into the room. The value comes from how the person sees the issue and asks questions around it that takes that new member to a new vestige of possibility. So that's really where the value is. I really appreciate that you said that. And it's the terms that remind people. The carefrontational is how we, really dive in and get direct about something, but we do it in a caring way. So you know, we're not making anybody feel left out or that. So I'll
And
leave it there.
we work on eliminating closed questions. And I one more to add to the mix that I heard the other day: question mendation. So it's a question, but it's really
Oh
a
yes,
recommendation, because
yes.
have you not
Have
considered
you
X,
thought
Y,
of?
and Z? So
Well, we're out of time. I'm bummed because I want to keep talking, but we are in fact out of time. Um, Coach M, for folks that want to get in touch with you to speak to their groups, to try Vegemite for the first time, to hear your lovely accent, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
yep, just check out coachm.cc.
Very cool. And Amanda, so if folks need to get in touch with you, questions about your wide range of Vistage experiences, curious about your group, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn is actually the easiest way under Amanda Carruthers. You can also look up my name, amandacarruthers.com, and I have a website that will show you all that I do, including Vistage. So it's been really nice to be here. Thank you so much for this experience, Erik.
Thank you both for coming. I really did enjoy it. And yeah, you guys are great.
Thanks so
Em, it's
much.
been so much fun learning from you too. Thank you so much. I'm excited for you to speak to our group.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate this platform, Erik, and all that you do. And Amanda, the Carruthers name is strong here in Colorado, and I'm so grateful to both of you for what Vistage, the life that it's creating for me right now. It's amazing. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Chairwaves. You can subscribe to our feed using Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your platform of choice. You can also visit chairwaves.com for more information. Chairwaves is hosted and produced by me, Erik Wolf, and to connect with me, you can visit my website at ewolf.live. That's EWOLF.live. And a disclaimer, while I love Vistage and CEO peer groups, this podcast is not owned by or affiliated with Vistage or any other peer organization. Thanks for listening.